My husband, Alex Vance, gave my family's heirloom ring, a piece passed down through generations of Reed women, to his young secretary. The girl, Maya Lynn, was ecstatic. She immediately posted a photo of it from the deck of a yacht, the diamond glittering against the sunset. Her caption was a masterpiece of cloying insincerity. My CEO is just the best. Wow, Mr. Vance is so handsome tonight. I'm just so happy. This ring is beautiful too. I guess being a beast of burden in this new era really pays off if you work hard and conscientiously. When I called Alex to ask him what he thought he was doing, his response was dismissive. It's just a ring, Eleanor. I gave it to her. What's the big deal? I felt a cold laugh building in my chest. I sneered into the phone and, with a grand wave of my hand, signaled the excavator operator. The machine's massive bucket came down, mercilessly crushing the carbon fiber body of his prized limited edition sports car. Since you seem to have a problem with boundaries, I told him, my voice steady, allow me to give you a practical lesson on what they mean. I had just switched my phone to a live video feed when I saw the fury twist Alex's features. Eleanor Reed, have you lost your mind? Do you have any idea what you're doing? Do you know how much this car is worth? It's a one-of-a-kind, a collector's item. I glanced casually over my shoulder at the heavy machinery methodically tearing his car apart. The excavator's bucket lifted and slammed down again with a sickening crunch. You can so easily give your little secretary a Reed family heirloom, I said sweetly. So why can't I have a little fun with an excavator? Alex was practically roaring through the phone. It was just a ring. If I gave it away, I gave it away. Why are you throwing such a tantrum? I just sneered and gave another dismissive wave to the operator. The excavator's bucket flattened what was left of the roof. Then, I simply hung up the phone. There was no follow-up call, no string of furious messages. Just silence. I knew Alex must have been incandescent with rage, but honestly, I didn't care. True love is a rare commodity in any circumstance, let alone in a business-motivated marriage like ours. In our world, mutual interest will always come first. The truth is, the Vance family's fortune was considerably smaller than my family's, the Reeds. But years ago, Alex's grandfather had saved my own grandfather's life, and our family has always valued loyalty above all else. I was taught from a young age that debts of honor must be repaid, no matter the cost. So when Mrs. Vance came to our family to propose a marriage between Alex and me, I didn't hesitate for long before agreeing. Besides, Alex was undeniably handsome. Dressed in a tailored suit, he had the perfect look of a gentlemanly rogue. My first impression of him wasn't unpleasant, so the arrangement was settled just like that. Over time, as we lived our lives together, a genuine affection naturally developed between us. We were perfectly compatible physically, and that intimacy helped our relationship progress even further. I came to believe that he loved me, and I certainly loved him. But business people at their core value themselves most. Both of us were highly rational individuals. While we wouldn't put each other first at the expense of our own interests, we certainly wouldn't have ranked each other too low on our list of priorities either. And yet, this little secretary had truly managed to get under my skin. How dare she so brazenly covet what was mine? Perhaps it was because Alex's rebellious phase had arrived 2 decades too late. When I had messaged him earlier that evening, insisting he come home for dinner, his reply was terse. I have something to do tonight. Eat by yourself. I decided to ignore it and went about my own business, until my best friend Sophie sent me a photo. The background was a luxurious private yacht, and the woman whose arm Alex was holding was none other than his secretary Maya. I was so angry I almost laughed out loud. Very well, I hadn't gone looking for trouble with her, yet she still had the audacity to flaunt herself like this in public. It seemed that crushing Alex's sports car was far too lenient a response. I asked Sophie to start a video call. The connection was clear, and I watched as Alex looked down at Maya, who was nestled in his arms with an expression of pure adoration. He then made a heart shape with his hands, posing with her for a photo she was taking for her social media. I had to acknowledge the bitter irony. Alex had never once taken a casual photo with me in all the years we had been together. I pulled up the secretary's social media feed and saw the picture she had just posted. She was leaning deliberately into his arms, the caption reading, "Mr. Vance is truly so gentle. How lucky would a woman be to marry him?" Then, in a comment visible to everyone, she added, "Oh dear, everyone has misunderstood. I'm not Mrs. Vance now." That was followed by a shy, blushing emoji. Not now. The implication was infuriatingly clear. What about later? Without saying a word, I took a screenshot and sent it directly to Alex with a simple message. "What does this mean? A heart gesture. Aren't you going to explain?" I could see on Sophie's video feed that Alex glanced down at the message on his phone, yet when he looked up, he didn't reply to me. I told Sophie to hang up and sent Alex a different photo. As I expected, he replied almost instantly. "Eleanor, what is the meaning of this? What are you trying to do?" At the same time, a message came through from Sophie. "My goddess, what on earth did you do?" Alex's expression just completely changed. I've never seen him lose his composure like that before. I sent Sophie a smug emoji in return. Next, I'll show you a truly unforgettable spectacle. The photo I had sent to Alex was of a page from an old classmate yearbook. Tucked inside the page was a yellowed photograph that had clearly been preserved for many years, cherished to the point that it didn't have a single crease. This was his college sweetheart, Clara. They had planned to get married right after graduation, but a tragedy had struck. A drunk driver hit their car. The girl, trying to shield Alex from the impact, was thrown from the vehicle and lost consciousness instantly, dying soon after. Alex treasured this yearbook and the photograph inside it. They were the only things he had left of her. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. I picked up the old yellowed photo and carefully compared it to the image of Maya on my screen. A slow, cold smile spread across my face. So that's how it is. Alex, seeing that I hadn't replied for a long time, couldn't resist messaging me again. "Don't you dare touch it, or I swear I won't let you off," I sneered coldly. Who exactly won't be letting whom off? He immediately called me, his voice carrying an uncharacteristic hint of pleading. "Eleanor, I'm coming home right now. Whatever it is, can we please just talk about it when I get home?" I replied calmly. "Put me on speakerphone." "What? What are you trying to do?" Alex sounded completely puzzled. "Do as I say, or I will burn this photo right here in front of you." Okay, don't be rash." Alex obediently turned on the speakerphone. I then sent a message to Sophie telling her to start a video feed again and make sure everyone on the yacht could see and hear. "I'm so sorry to spoil everyone's fun," I began, my voice amplified across the yacht's sound system. "As Mrs. Vance, I feel terrible that I missed the event. To make it up to all of you, let me show you something entertaining. They say Jiang Tai Gong fished with a straight hook, and those who were willing took the bait. Miss Lin, you look so beautiful tonight. I imagine your charm is no less than Jiang Tai Gong's, but please don't blame me for picking on you. While Jiang Tai Gong had no bait on his hook, Miss Lin certainly does." I pretended to ponder for a moment. "As for the bait, how about we use Miss Lin's earring? I've heard you're quite the dancer. If you don't manage to catch a fish within 5 minutes, how about you perform a little striptease as a penalty?" I saw the color drain from Maya's face in an instant. She knew this was an impossible task. She shook her head tearfully, casting a pleading glance at Alex. "Honey," I purred into the phone, "Miss Lin doesn't seem very willing. Don't let her spoil everyone's fun. Go and have a word with her." I sneered privately. "Since you're so fond of seducing other people's husbands, I'll just let you have your way." Maya turned to run, but Alex grabbed her by the wrist. Sophie, playing her part perfectly, volunteered to tie the diamond earring to a fishing rod. Maya had no choice but to take the rod with trembling hands. But just as she cast the line, the earring slipped off and fell straight into the sea. "Oh dear, what a shame, Miss Lin." I feigned regret as I spoke. "You might as well start taking your clothes off now." The yacht party fell silent for a moment, with Maya remaining completely motionless. I picked up a lighter from my desk and deliberately moved it close to my phone's microphone, flicking it on. A sharp snapping sound echoed over the speakers. I saw Alex's expression harden. He gritted his teeth and said to Maya, "Take it off." Sophie sent me a thumbs-up emoji. Maya looked at him in disbelief. "Don't go too far, Alex," I scoffed. All right, I said, watching as Maya, under immense pressure from Alex, tearfully began to remove her clothes. The men at this party were all from wealthy and privileged backgrounds. Naturally, they were all the more eager to watch the spectacle, though none of them dared to openly misbehave. When Maya had nearly finished undressing, someone in the crowd remarked with disdain, "Disgraceful." Half an hour later, Alex ran into our house in a state of panic. His clothes were disheveled, a far cry from his usual composed and impeccable demeanor. "Eleanor, where is it? Where's the yearbook? I've already done what you asked. What more do you want?" I just stared straight at him without saying a word. After a long, tense silence, Alex finally lowered his head in defeat. He ruffled his hair with his hands and said with some irritation, "Maya just graduated from college. She doesn't have such dirty thoughts. I only gave her gifts because I appreciated her dedication and hard work for the company. Can you please stop making a scene? There's really nothing going on between us, and I've never wronged you." "No? Then what, in your mind, would truly count as wronging me? Does it only qualify after you two have slept together and had a child? She's just a fresh graduate with zero significant contributions to the company, yet you give her a ring worth millions. What about the other employees? Should they be receiving even better gifts? Alex, do you even understand the concept of boundaries? Or is it because she bears some resemblance to someone else that you've projected all your unfulfilled dreams onto her? Clara couldn't become your wife, couldn't wear your family ring in marriage, couldn't attend your parties as Mrs. Vance. So now you're trying to compensate for all those past regrets through this girl." I dissected his motivations, laying every thought bare. Indeed, the unattainable memory of a first love remains an eternal regret for many. "Then what about me?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "What am I to you? How do you expect other people to see me? The Honorable Mrs. Vance can't even compare to a mere secretary, making me a laughingstock in public." The atmosphere in the room fell into a heavy silence. Alex lowered his head, unable to say a word. Seeing him like this, I couldn't help but feel a sliver of sympathy. After all, who doesn't have unresolved regrets from their past? Moreover, the person in his past had saved his life. Turning around, I retrieved the yearbook and the old photograph, placing them solemnly into his hands. "Alex, I love you now. As long as you still love me, I won't harm anything you cherish. I wasn't a part of your past, so I won't judge it. But your present is me, and I hope your future will be me too. Can we go back to how we were before? Let's not let anyone or anything disturb us again." As I spoke, I lowered my head and kissed him, moved by my own deep affection. He slowly raised his head to look into my eyes and nodded, his voice choked with emotion. "Okay." That night, it felt as if we had returned to our newlywed days, perfectly in sync. Maya became the laughingstock of the company. She was already known for being overly ambitious, but after becoming Alex's secretary, she had become unbearably arrogant, looking down on everyone. The video from the yacht had long been circulated in the company's internal group chats. Although she hadn't completely stripped that night, it was still embarrassing enough to ruin her reputation. Wherever she went, people would point and whisper. Before long, she was demoted from the president's secretary to a general office errand girl. Having navigated the corporate world for years, everyone in the company was shrewd. All the dirty, exhausting, and menial tasks were piled onto her, a steep fall from her once stellar position. Everyone began to speculate about the reasons behind her downfall. The annual yacht party was an event traditionally attended by Mrs. Vance, but this year her position had been usurped by a fresh graduate who had quickly risen to become the president's personal secretary. She had even proudly announced to the world that the president had given her his family heirloom ring, sparking endless gossip throughout the company. Although everyone knew that I, Mrs. Vance, was a woman who wouldn't tolerate any nonsense, no one had expected her to be forced into becoming a public spectacle in such a humiliating setting. From that day on, people would only remember the clown who stripped in front of everyone. Climbing the social ladder would be much harder for her now. Those who had been waiting to see me humiliated would never dare to underestimate me again after this incident. Everyone came to understand one simple thing. Those who coveted the position of the CEO's wife would meet a miserable end. One day I ran to the company cheerfully holding a hospital test report in my hand, ready to tell Alex my good news. Unexpectedly, as soon as I entered the building, I sensed chaos. Alex was rushing towards the storage room with a look of extreme urgency on his face. I heard frantic pounding on a door. Maya! Maya! It's me! Don't be afraid. I'm here. The maintenance team arrived with all their tools, aiming at the lock, only to find they couldn't open it. Alex cursed angrily. What are we even keeping you people around for? You can't even open a damn door. You're a useless bunch. The head of the maintenance department wiped the sweat from his forehead and replied cautiously, Mr. Vance, the key broke off inside the lock. We still need some time to get it open. Alex grew even more frantic, his eyes becoming bloodshot. I had never seen him like this before. Maya, don't be afraid. It'll be over soon. I'm right outside. I'll stay here with you. Maya, don't worry. I will definitely find out who framed you, and I won't let her get away with it. Alex was as agitated as an ant on a hot pan, his voice cracking and hoarse as if he believed the person inside might suffocate at any moment. Maya, answer me. Please, just answer me. He was burning with anxiety, wishing it were himself trapped inside instead of her. I'm so scared. Really so scared. A weak voice finally came from inside. They say adversity reveals true feelings. Seeing Alex so incredibly worried about Maya, the gazes of the employees standing around us suddenly shifted towards me. The moment the door was forced open, he couldn't wait any longer and rushed inside, pulling Maya into his arms, saying with heartache, Maya, Maya, look at me. Maya's face was as pale as snow, and she looked extremely weak, her lips trembling. Lexi, it's so dark. I'm scared. I'm so scared. Not only was I suddenly stunned, but so was Alex. Lexi. That nickname was known to no one but his white moonlight Clara. Even I had never dared to call him that. It was a name reserved solely for that one person from his past. But now, how could she possibly know it? Before I could gather my thoughts, Maya trembled as she raised a finger to point directly at me. Mr. Vance, Mrs. Vance, I know you hate me, but you knew I have claustrophobia. Why? Why would you do this? Though her words were left unfinished, the implication was crystal clear to everyone present. Alex stood up abruptly, his eyes reddened with fury, and in full view of everyone, he slapped me hard across the face. How could I have been so blind as to marry a venomous woman like you? Then he turned and drove away, holding Maya protectively in his arms. At that moment, I clearly saw the triumphant smile lingering at the corner of Maya's lips as she watched me being hit. This slap not only turned me into a complete joke in front of the entire company, but it also erased the last trace of affection I held in my heart. Alex, I thought, since it has come to this, don't blame me for being ruthless. Leaving the company, I took out my phone and made a call. Investigate Maya Lin for me, thoroughly. Whether you're human or a ghost, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I didn't try to conceal the red slap mark on my face. Instead, I called a professional makeup artist to make it look even more pronounced and severe. Returning to the Reed family residence, my father was visibly heartbroken, seeing my severely swollen cheek and bloodshot eyes. My mother immediately teared up, summoned our family doctor, and personally brought an ice pack to help reduce the swelling. Being the only daughter among my many brothers, the doting I received from my family goes without saying. A single phone call from my father alarmed all the elders in our family, and everyone was furious to the point of explosion upon seeing that I had suffered such a profound humiliation. Half an hour later, a grand procession of over a dozen luxury cars set off from the Reed residence, heading directly towards the Vance family home. As soon as they entered, my uncle shouted angrily, "Where's Alex? Tell that bastard to get out here." My mother-in-law hurried out, bewildered by the aggressive crowd, until her gaze fell on the injury on my face. She hurried over to hold my hand. "Eleanor, my dear, what happened? Who hurt you?" "It's all because of that stupid thing your precious son did," my father said, immediately pulling up the company's security footage on his tablet. Everyone saw Alex publicly slap me to defend Maya, and I had deliberately paused and zoomed in on Maya's smug expression right after the humiliation. Those present were all sharp-eyed individuals. How could they not see through her manipulative acting? My father-in-law, furious, immediately took out his phone and called Alex. Get your ass back here right now. If you don't come back immediately, you will never set foot in this house again. My mother-in-law held me in her arms, comforting me nonstop while cursing Alex under her breath. I pretended to sob occasionally, making myself appear even more aggrieved, but in my heart, I was calculating how to escalate the situation. I wasn't foolish enough to lower my dignity by confronting Maya directly, not to mention that I am Alex's lawful wife. The collaborative projects between our two families alone would be enough to make Maya regret her actions for the rest of her life. Moreover, with so many powerful eyes watching now, if the Vances couldn't provide a satisfactory explanation today, they would likely face serious trouble in their future business dealings. While merchants prioritize profit, the wealthier and more established they become, the more they emphasize family values and reputation. As karma comes full circle, who would want to collaborate with a family whose heir would brutally beat his wife over such a trivial matter? We might invite retribution upon ourselves. But for now, I didn't want Alex and his little secretary to meet too ugly an end. Even though Maya's true identity hadn't been fully revealed yet, I had already guessed she wasn't as simple as she appeared on the surface. Since she had given me such a generous gift of provocation, I naturally had to repay her properly. It would be even more thrilling to let Alex see her true face for himself when the mask is finally torn off. Seeing that everyone was sufficiently angered, I decided to rein it in a bit and asked my uncle and the others to calm down, suggesting we wait for Alex to return before continuing the discussion. My in-laws watched all of this, praising me endlessly for being so sensible and level-headed, which only deepened their own sense of guilt. Half an hour later, the villa's front door was pushed open. Alex walked in with a cold expression on his face. Seeing him, I couldn't suppress the corner of my mouth and almost burst out laughing. One fool was bad enough, but to think there were two of them. He had actually brought Maya back with him. They clearly never expected things to escalate to this extent, and seeing so many people gathered in the living room, Alex slightly softened the coldness on his face, while Maya shrank back and hid behind him. Upon seeing this, my mother-in-law immediately lashed out. "What's the matter? You had the nerve to come along, but now you're too ashamed to show your face? Weren't you so happy stripping on the yacht? Stop pretending to be a victim now." The little secretary instantly turned pale, looking like a delicate flower about to be broken by a storm, which only further aroused Alex's protective instincts in front of outsiders. My father-in-law showed no regard for Alex's dignity. "It seems you've been living too comfortably lately, almost forgetting your own family name." "Dad, what are you doing?" Alex frowned, not understanding why his parents were so angry the moment he got home. "What did I do? How dare you even ask? Look at the mess you've made." My father-in-law pointed at my face and scolded him angrily. Alex shifted his gaze to me and finally noticed my grotesquely swollen cheek. His face immediately darkened, becoming as gloomy as storm clouds. "How dare you still have the nerve to complain?" My eyes turned red, and tears of grievance could no longer be held back as they fell. "Mom, let's go home. I shouldn't have come." "Alex, you bastard!" My father-in-law was furious and immediately slapped him. From the sound alone, it was clear he used his full force, causing Alex's face to jerk to the side as blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Maya let out a terrified scream, as if she were the one who had been hit, and gently wiped the blood from Alex's face with a tissue. My mother-in-law tightened her grip on my arm, and I knew Maya's actions had provoked her to her limit. "Alex, have you no shame? Eleanor is still here. If you have no shame, then get out of this house. Our Vance family still has some dignity left." Seeing me being so openly bullied, my uncle's expression grew increasingly grim. "Can't you discipline your son properly? If you can't, I wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson myself." Hearing the scolding from her mother-in-law and my uncle, Maya not only didn't stop, but she leaned against Alex, whimpering, "Lexi, does it hurt?" Seeing this, my father-in-law grew even angrier and slapped Alex again with such force that Maya, who was leaning on him, naturally suffered the consequences and was knocked aside. Alex saw Maya nearly fall and, ignoring the blood now gushing from his own nose, immediately rushed to support her. My mother-in-law casually grabbed an apple from the dining table and hurled it at them. Alex dodged and it missed, but Maya, who had been leaning all her weight on him, fell to the ground with a cry of pain. You little tramp! So you still know how to feel pain? Don't you believe I can send you away and find plenty of men to take good care of you? My mother-in-law was always a woman of her word, and fearing she would carry out her threat, Maya looked pleadingly at Alex, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, a perfect picture of pitiful vulnerability. Alex, moved by her appearance, frowned disapprovingly at his own parents. Dad, Mom, how could you be so heartless to Maya? What has she done wrong? The one at fault is clearly Eleanor, who knowingly ordered Maya to be locked in a dark room despite her claustrophobia. I only took her to the hospital because I was worried she might have a breakdown. Maya is the victim here. The victim? A victim laughing so happily? And you're telling me she's the victim? My mother-in-law showed Alex the video clip of him hitting me, with Maya leaning into his arms, laughing triumphantly in the background. The video was captured and enlarged for him to see. Anyone who didn't know the context would think she was overjoyed. Dad, Mom, this is a misunderstanding, Alex insisted, his mind completely occupied by this woman who unconsciously mirrored the same mannerisms as his first love. Maya was just happy that I could go and save her. Maya and I are innocent. Nothing has happened between us. On the contrary, it's Eleanor who has been aggressive and has hurt her. How dare you say nothing happened? If nothing happened, would you have given her our family heirloom ring? Of course, I had already showed Maya's bragging social media post to my parents-in-law. You worthless brat! If you don't apologize to Eleanor today, don't you dare step foot in this house again. My father-in-law, upon hearing his son's unrepentant attitude, was so furious that he threw his beloved purple clay teapot to the ground, shattering it. I'm not wrong. If anyone should apologize, it is Eleanor who should apologize to Maya, Alex said stubbornly, before pulling Maya away with him. Mom, Dad, Uncle, I said, my voice calm and steady. In that case, I might as well divorce him. I withdrew my hand from my mother-in-law's grasp and walked away with my family. Early the next morning, as I entered the company, I happened to see Maya looking radiant with energy. When she saw me come in, she immediately crossed her arms and said smugly, What? Mrs. Vance, are you here to apologize to me? I sneered with contempt. Hey, stop right there. Seeing that I had ignored her, Maya stomped her foot in anger. I walked directly to the president's office and stood before Alex, looking down at him as my lawyer handed him a set of documents. Sign it? Alex didn't pick up the documents. Instead, he looked at me and said, What are you doing here? Did you come to apologize to Maya? Sure enough, the same old fool. Even his words were identical. I rolled my eyes, unable to comprehend how I had ever fallen for such an idiot. You're laid off. Get out now. Maya then entered the office, looking shocked upon hearing this. Eleanor, are you crazy? Do you realize what you're saying? Mr. Vance has always been the president of Vance Corp. How dare you fire him? Then she burst into laughter, her body shaking with mirth. Are you out of your mind? You're talking nonsense. I planned to play with her slowly later, so I ignored her and continued speaking directly to Alex. When we got married, we agreed that you would hold 54% of the company's shares, and I would hold 46%. If we had a child, I would hold 70% and you 30%. And when the child comes of age, they would receive 40% of the total shares. Well, now I'm pregnant. I signaled for the lawyer to present the pregnancy test report. Alex froze, staring at me intently with utter disbelief. When did this happen? I was going to tell you that day, I replied coldly, but I never expected you to team up with Maya to give me such a grand and humiliating gift. Also, let's get a divorce. The lawyer handed over the document he hadn't taken earlier. Again, the property division is also written in there, exactly as we agreed before our marriage. If you don't believe me, you can check it again. Eleanor, listen to me. There's absolutely nothing between me and Maya. I won't divorce you. Don't even think about it. Only then did I finally see a flicker of real panic on his face. Too late, I said. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? I don't want something that's been dirtied. With that, I didn't care what Alex had to say and directly had security escort him out of the building. After the noise subsided, I walked step by step up to Maya. What are you going to do? Her legs were trembling with fear. Do you still want Mr. Vance's position now? I'll give it to you. I slowly leaned close to her ear and whispered, Congratulations, Miss Clara. Sure enough, her face turned deathly pale the moment she heard that name. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Still pretending, huh? You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. I had someone look into everything and figure it all out. Back then, Alex's white moonlight, Clara, never actually died. Alex's mother saw that her mind was too restless and ambitious and realized that such a person wasn't suitable for her son. But fearing it would permanently damage her relationship with Alex, she secretly gave Clara $50 million under the table. Thus, the incident of Clara bribing a drunk driver to fake her own death was orchestrated. After taking the money, she went abroad, partied too hard, and was eventually swindled by a handsome young man. With no other choice, she returned home and saw Alex's skyrocketing net worth. Feeling resentful and entitled, she secretly went to Korea for extensive plastic surgery, fabricated a fake identity as the freshly graduated Maya Lin, and leveraged Alex's lingering regret for her by exuding a faint, elusive familiarity. She made Alex fall for her all over again. I admit, if it were the living, untainted Clara from his college days, perhaps I couldn't compare. But now, what kind of pathetic creature is this thing who died and came back to life? You're lying! I'm not the Clara you're talking about at all. You've got the wrong person. I'm Maya. The next second, Clara broke down and screamed at me. Too clever by half. If she hadn't been so impatient and called Alex by his childhood nickname, Lexi, in the storage room, revealing her slip-up, I might never have realized they were the same person. Security! Get this person out of here! With a wave of my hand, Clara was dragged out, screaming in despair. I urgently convened a meeting with the company's top executives to reintroduce the future head of the household, the new CEO recommended by my parents from the Reed family. I would make them all understand that offending anyone is better than offending me. I have always lived by a simple principle. I won't attack unless attacked, but if I am attacked, I will surely strike back. After arranging all the company matters, I had someone carefully review the security footage from the storage room to uncover the full truth. It turned out that Clara had deliberately arranged for someone to lock her inside, then took the opportunity to inform Alex, knowing he believed she had claustrophobia. The identical symptoms and familiar behavior made him lose control and rush over to her. Alex ultimately didn't sign the divorce agreement. By the time I stepped out of the company building, Clara had already calmed down and caught up with me. Madame, please wait a moment. She stood before me with the utmost obedience, a complete contrast to her previous arrogant demeanor. Speak if you have something to say. I don't have much time to waste with you. I frowned and glanced at my watch. A clear flash of unwillingness flickered in her eyes. Madame, you've misunderstood. There's really nothing between me and Mr. Vance. It was all my immaturity before. Please don't take it to heart. Too late. I naturally knew what she was about to say, but I had no time to waste with either of them, whether she was Maya or Clara. When I decided to abandon Alex, it no longer had anything to do with me. I simply handed over all the investigative materials to Alex's mother. After all, she was the one who spent $50 million back then. Seeing that I really had nothing more to discuss, Clara tore off her mask of subservience, revealing her true self. So what if you have money? You still can't keep your own husband. He loves me. I'll have you know he refuses to sign the divorce papers. Clara's expression stiffened. What does it matter? Lexi will sign eventually. I just showed a little bit of my old self, and Lexi couldn't get enough of me. Let alone the fact that he's always loved me for who I am. Are you sure he loved the Clara who accompanied him on campus? Not the Maya who took the money, faked her death, went abroad to live recklessly, and then came back to life? What do you know? I was forced back then. I had no choice. As long as Lexi still loves me, you'll always be my defeated rival. You'll never compare to me. Clara's face was filled with an air of absolute, delusional confidence. I was almost amused to laughter by her self-indulgent demeanor. Clara, I've tolerated you for a long time, yet you keep provoking me again and again, not knowing when to stop. I'm no saint. What? What are you going to do? She looked at me with a guarded expression. If you dare to hurt me, Lexi won't let you off. Look at what you're saying, I replied smoothly. I'm not that violent. After speaking, I raised my phone and showed it to her. On the screen were dozens of photos of her dating different muscular men in nightclubs abroad, with all kinds of poses comparable to a softcore film. What do you think he would do if he knew you were this kind of person? As soon as I finished speaking, she lunged at me like a madwoman, trying to snatch my phone. I casually tossed it to her. What's the point of giving it to you? I already sent the entire collection to Mrs. Vance. Mrs. Vance certainly didn't disappoint me. In no time, the internet was flooded with news of Clara's resurrection, causing a huge uproar. Oh my God, I never thought there could be such a shameless woman in this world. This could practically be turned into a novel. Yeah, how dare she come back? Look, I found a few more photos. Don't they look just like her? The internet has always thrived on mixing truth and lies, and there's never a shortage of onlookers eager for drama. To everyone's shock, someone actually dug up photos of her drinking with male models at a nightclub, the explicitness of which was jaw-dropping. In just 1 week, someone actually turned Clara's series of experiences into a web series, and it became a massive hit. Almost everyone knew that the Vance family had injured their own wife over such a person, and had even tried to force her to apologize and divorce. The Vance parents could no longer sit still, especially after learning that I was pregnant. They directly summoned Alex to the ancestral hall for disciplinary punishment, and one of the younger generation even filmed a video of it to show me. Clara naturally became a public enemy, with no company daring to hire her no matter where she went. It is said that she once went to find Alex, but he immediately kicked her out, shouting, "I must have been blind to have ever liked you." All the old yearbooks and photos were thrown into the trash right in front of her. She cried so hard she could barely catch her breath. Lexi, you've misunderstood me. Back then, I was forced by your mother. It was she who tore us apart and pressured me to go abroad for those things. Now that I've finally returned and slowly tried to get close to you again, I was even afraid your mother would find out. How could you treat me like this? You vile woman. How dare you spout such nonsense even now? Someone tear her mouth apart first. The angrier Mrs. Vance became, the more she ordered the servants to slap her over a dozen times. Playing an old recording, Clara's voice came through clearly. Mrs. Vance, do you really think a mere 20 million is enough to make me leave Lexi? That's far too little. Then how much do you want? At least this much, Clara said, extending 5 fingers. Fine, I'll give you 50 million. But if you ever dare to come back, don't blame me for being ruthless. Mrs. Vance then showed Alex the evidence that Clara had framed me by having herself locked in the dark room. The person who had colluded with her back then was also found and promptly thrown into jail. Seeing that all her lies had been exposed and her schemes unraveled, Clara wanted to plead for mercy. However, her mouth had been slapped so hard that she couldn't utter a single coherent word, only able to babble incoherently while drooling. Alex forced a bitter smile. Damn me for hurting Eleanor over trash like you. Never show your face around me again, or I won't be able to stop myself from killing you. That same night, Mr. and Mrs. Vance brought Alex to my doorstep to apologize and beg for my forgiveness. I got a good scolding from my own dad first. What are you doing here? Instead of staying with your first love, why come looking for my daughter? Now that you've seen the true colors of outsiders, you realize how good your own family is. Well, I'm telling you, it's too late. My daughter is pregnant, and this is how your family treats her. How is she supposed to live like this in the future? The child will be raised by our Reed family and will have nothing to do with your Vance family from now on. And we don't want a single penny of your damn Vance family money. If my daughter doesn't divorce your family today, she might end up serving your Vance eldest son's next mistress tomorrow. Our Reed family is no less than your Vance family. The only reason we agreed to the marriage back then was out of respect for the previous generation's friendship. I always felt it was a loss for us, and from now on, this child will only be raised by our Reed family to avoid being corrupted by your family's upbringing. Mr. and Mrs. Vance are, after all, people of high status, accustomed to being flattered wherever they go. This was the first time they were scolded so harshly, and their faces were burning with shame. Yet they had no choice but to keep bowing and apologizing with forced smiles. To be fair, apart from Alex, the elderly couple had always treated me quite well, and I couldn't bear to see them so thoroughly humiliated. I gave my father a meaningful look, and he turned to scold Alex instead. Alex got down on his knees and begged for my forgiveness. I firmly refused. When I gave him the chance before, he didn't cherish it, and now I have no intention of having any further dealings with him. After that, Alex pestered me for several more months. But seeing my resolve was unshakable, he had no choice but to agree to the divorce. On the day of the divorce, Sophie accompanied me to the Civil Affairs Bureau. On the way out, she told me loudly, "Eleanor, you know what? Clara is now a top performer at a high-end club. She'll go with anyone for money. Rumor has it that just the day before yesterday, she was with some rich guy's golden retriever. Profit always comes first for some people." 10 months later, I gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. This made both the Vance and Reed families overjoyed. In the hospital ward, Mr. Vance alternated between hugging his little grandson and pinching his little granddaughter's cheeks, utterly delighted. My dad glanced at his watch and, seeing it was about time, began ushering everyone out. "All right, time to go home." At first, I couldn't resist the elderly couple's pleading and agreed that they could come to see the children for half an hour every day after they were born. When the time came, how could the elderly couple rest easy when the grandchildren they had longed for, half their lives, were denied to them? Immediately, Alex was given another severe beating by his father, nearly breaking his ribs. During my postpartum recovery month, Mrs. Vance personally took care of me every day, preparing a variety of delicious meals. Even though my own mother would immediately throw them in the trash after she left, their family of 3 found their greatest joy in visiting my house every day, never tiring of it, even after being turned away countless times. Later, Mr. Vance came up with an idea. Since Eleanor dislikes Alex so much, from now on, Alex is no longer my son. Our Vance family will only acknowledge Eleanor's grandchildren. When the children were just over a year old, they began to learn how to walk and also started calling their grandparents. I didn't refuse the request of my former parents-in-law to visit the children. After all, they genuinely love the children and have already transferred all of the Vance family's property to the 2 of them. As for Alex, Mr. Vance said, "When I forgive him, that's when he can step through the Vance family's door again." Once, by chance, I saw the nanny taking the children out to play in the park. Alex was there, teasing our son to call him Daddy. Every time the child called him that, Alex would break down emotionally. Later, Alex begged me countless times to remarry him, saying the children couldn't grow up without a father. He even went to the hospital to get a vasectomy, claiming only my children were worthy of inheriting the Vance family fortune. But I firmly refused every time. For me, whether it's love or anything else, I adhere to one principle: once unfaithful, never trusted again. Because a man who truly loves you, from the moment he decides to be with you, will keep his distance from all other women, fearing you might feel jealous or hurt. Those who pretend not to understand actually know better than anyone. For those who are lost, there's no need to always dwell on regrets, because the seasons will cycle anew, and those who are meant to meet will meet again. We must always learn to hope,